Well, another episode of Life, Health, and Happiness. Now, the last few have been on life, and the next few are going to be on health. Because the most important thing to us as human beings, after we have the basic necessities of air, water, food, is our health, our physical, mental, and emotional health. If you lose any one of the three, then quite often you're suffering and you're going through great difficulties. And bad physical health can start weighing on your mental health and your emotional health, just like bad mental health can start weighing on your physical and emotional health. So it's really important to try to be as healthy as we possibly can be. Now, when it comes to your health, we're all byproducts of our habits. Good habits beget good outcomes with our health, and bad habits beget bad outcomes with our health. Think of what you eat. If you eat clean, healthy, whole foods, you're going to be leaner, you're going to be healthier, you're going to have better mental health. They've studied this. If you eat terrible foods, it's going to have negative consequence to your physical, mental, and emotional health. You get to choose your habits. It's your choice. So let's start with a few good habits. One, it's really important to get a good night's sleep. Now, I'll go into sleep in a more in-depth pattern, but one thing they know about sleep, the most important thing they know about a good night's sleep, is trying to go to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. Also, try not to pick up your cell phone the last half hour before you go to bed, because that disrupts your sleep, particularly the light. But try to get a good night's sleep. We all know when you have a bad night's sleep, you feel terrible the next day. But then when you get up in the morning from a good night's sleep, how do you start your day? Your morning is when you have the most control over your schedule, unless you're a parent with small kids. I understand that because then you're on their schedule. But if you're not a parent with young kids, then your morning is typically the time you have the greatest amount of control over what you eat and what you do. So for me, I get up, and it's, again, been studied, drink plenty of water. I always squeeze a couple lemons in my water. That alkalizes the water, and it's just good for your system. So I drink at least 2-3 cups, 12-ounce cups of water in that first half hour, 40 minutes of when I first get up. And then I'll have my tea and some other things. I also, for me, start with prayer and reading a passage out of the Bible. But then I start getting moving. I start warming up my body, moving every joint, stretching, and warming myself up. And then from there, I start working out. Now, some people can't do that first thing in the morning. Some people, need to do it after work because of their work schedule. But the important thing is you have to build in a time every single day, or most every day, to do your exercise, to do something physical. So develop a structured routine. And then when you decide to eat, either if it's before or after you exercise, breakfast is the one area you have the most control over, because at lunch, you're quite often at your office or you're on the road, wherever, and sometimes it's harder to control what you eat. Dinner, same thing. But morning time, you can eat a couple eggs, you can eat, I eat keto granola, which is largely nuts with berries, but you can control what you consume. But then to exercise. Exercise is so critically important to you. I'll address this again at a future episode, but 80% of your weight gain or weight loss is determined by what you eat. 20% is by exercise. However, your physical well-being, your cardiovascularity ability, your muscle strength, your flexibility, that is 80% driven by exercise and 20% by your diet. So exercise is just super important. Plus, you have to understand, we're all chemistry sets. And if you get your chemicals with too much stress, it produces negative chemicals that weigh on your physical and mental and emotional health. Where exercise burns cortisol and those negative chemicals and releases positive chemicals like endorphins. I always feel, and anybody who's committed to exercise will tell you, they always feel best for the 2-3 hours after they've exercised. Some people like me are addicted to it. It makes me feel that much better and helps me manage stress. So you've got to set a routine for your exercise. The first thing you need to do is try to build in strength or resistance training at least twice a week. I will go into that later, but resistance training is so important, and I'll get into the various forms of exercise in another episode. Second, cardio. You want to do a certain amount of cardio a few times a week. It can be biking, jogging, swimming, walking, dancing, yoga. Frankly, make it fun. What do you like to do? Do that thing that you enjoy most to do, but just gets your heart moving. Next, always build in some time for stretching. Now, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you don't need it as much as you get older, like me, but you really got to build in some time for stretching, particularly as you get older. Next, you got to work on your core and your balance and as you get older, particularly as you're getting up into your 50s and 60s and 70s, because, so many people injure themselves by a fall. But most important, you just got to keep moving. Dick Van Dyke, famous actor. Think of all the movies. He wrote a book, Just Keep Moving. At 93 years old, he danced on a desk for the remake of Mary Poppins. So, Jack LaLanne, we all remember that guy. That guy was still pumping weights and moving all the way into his late 80s. So that's so critical. Just keep moving. So to sum it all up, make exercise a habit. Set a time of the day and of the week. If you're not used to it, start small and build up. Make it pleasurable. Incorporate things you enjoy to do. Do it in the morning if you can because you have more control, or right after work. If you wait till the night, most people fall apart, you get tired, and you just end up passing on it. If you can find a partner to help you stay committed to it, do it. Quite often, it's helpful to have a buddy to exercise with. Being tired is not an excuse because exercise revitalizes you. Try not to miss a day so it becomes a habit. And lastly, make a commitment to your health and yourself. It's important to your happiness. Hope you enjoyed what I had to say.